Hi everybody, I am Daniela Ruiz and my research topic is Transnational extractivism and indigenous resistance in Wirikuta territory, Mexico. Maybe you are wondering what all those she just said means. Well, we are going to start with something more understandable. Imagine that you have lived in a certain place for a long time. Your grandparents, your great grandparents, and your grandparents' great grandparents have lived there. It is a place that you love, that you respect, and that you take care of every day to preserve and enjoy it, and so that those who come will also enjoy it. And suddenly, a series of strange people arrive to this place with a completely different vision of taking your things to deteriorate the environment that you have cared for so much, to exploit it and load it without even asking you, just because they have power and they can do it. And when you try to defend yourself and your home, they blame you for a thousand things and then they just ignore you. How would you feel about it? Sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it? Well, in these 20 minutes, we will see a case very similar to the one we just create in our minds, but this is a real life case. Socio-environment conflicts have always existed. However, now they have a different modality, no longer focused only on the use, access, and control of resources, but also on the socio-environmental impact and effects generated by this appropriation and exploitation in the global neoliberal era that we are living today. There are socio-environmental resources that are the subject of dispute. 39% of the cases had to do with water issues, 25% with farmland and territory, and 15% with protected areas. As for the immediate causes of socio-environmental impacts, more than half stem from urbanization process, industry, and open pit mining, while the structural causes correspond to process of capital expansion, privatization of natural assets, and power struggles. It is basically neoliberalism. Well, in Mexico, INEGI calculates the cost of degradation and depletion of environmental resources caused by the production system and calls it environmental cost. Here I showed you the different sectors with the highest environmental cost. For example, transportation, mail, and storage is the 18%. Agriculture, livestock, forestry, fishing, and hunting it's to 18%, but manufacturing it's 4%. Electricity, water, and gas supply it's only 1%. And construction it's really very little, but it's 0.1%. But let's see the size of the mining. It is 19%. Well, after showing these statistics, I think it's clear the importance that mining acquires, and especially the mining of transnational extractive companies in our country. So that's why I chose to talk to you about transnational mining extractivism in Wirikuta territory. So, who is this man that we are watching on the image? Well, he is a Huichol. The Huichols or Wiharitari are an ethnic group that live in western Mexico, in the states of Nayarit, Jalisco, Zacatecas, Durango. And these people between October and March of each year make make the pilgrimage to the Real de Catorce desert, which has an area of more than 140,000 hectares, where their ancestors and the Hikuli, that is the way they call peyote, await them. This pilgrimage and the peyote are structural parts of the Huichol culture and are linked to the festive and agricultural cycles as a whole. Wirikuta is the most important sacred site since, according to its mythology, where it is the place where the sun was born, where the brother there is hunted and the peyote grows or is collected. Their ancestors lived in this territory, and every part of nature that makes it up is sacred. For the Huichol, everything has a life and has a deep respect for it, not by praying on the environment, but by caring for it and furthermore venerating it through rituals in order to collaborate with the deities in maintaining this cosmic order. This is basically their worldview and the strong relationship they have with the nature. So this is why they call themselves peyote guardians. So what's the problem with all this thing? This is a problem. First Majestic Silver Cup is one of the Canadian transnational mining company that acquired concessions in Wirikuta to extract minerals thanks to the colonial mining companies that sold it their concessions, and also because the state that acts as an enabler with the discourse of achieving economic development for the country. And this is how this Canadian transnational mining got a lot of concessions. 90% of the mining projects operate with foreign capital are concentrated in the municipalities of the Altiplano region, which in variable portions are within the perimeter of the Wirikuta protected area, how we can see in the image. And the project La Luz mining project in Real de Catorce, directed by this company, First Majestic, will be carried out with upward cut and fill underground mining. This requires the drilling of a tunnel to cross the main veins that are close to a ceremonial altar of the Wiharika people. This isn't easy. We think they have to remove the subsoil. They have to divert the underground river that will bring a series of socio-environmental consequences that we are looking for, that we are showing in the next. So, how can we analyze this problem? Well, this man This man's name is David Harvey. And he proposed this concept of accumulation by dispossession that is fundamental to understand our problem. So he thought about the powerful countries that produce capital incessantly, the so-called first world or developed countries, and realized that there was a point where they could no longer continue to accumulate capital in their country because they were intensely degrading their socio-ecosystem. This is known as an overaccumulation crisis. And to face this crisis, uh, these countries opened new markets and new productive capacities, work, and resources commonly in countries with economic instability in order to continue accumulating capital while they degrading and deteriorating the socio-ecosystems of these poor countries. In this way, powerful countries accumulate capital from the dispossession of territories and the dispossession of natural resources from degraded countries. On one side, we have the discourse of development. We are going to have more economic incomes. This is going to increase the employment in Wirikuta to the people that live in Wirikuta in Real de 14. And we are going to promote this technological development. And on the other side, the real side, are the socio-environmental effects. We have the impact on the high biodiversity of soils, climates, and geomorphs that give life to endemic species of flora and fauna of the semi-arid desert. We have to the hydrological alteration caused by the underground river that we see in the that we see before, and that will affect the access to groundwater in Real de 14 and communities neighbors belonging to Wirikuta. And it affects too the biocultural forms like biocultural degradation towards the sacred territory in Wirikuta. A series of social effects will arise because then they will no longer be able to carry out the pilgrimage that is part of their culture or collect the peyote and all the nature that is sacred to them will be threatened by the contamination that this type of mega extractivist project implies. It is going to affect their social organization, the living spaces, the livelihoods, and the cultural process in general. So this isn't only mining. So faced with this situation, a series of resistance arise in the search for the defense of their territory and their natural resources that they have appropriated over thousands of years, which are part of their culture and, and of their lives. They expressed their concerns about the impact of these transnational mining companies in their territory through social movements. This is how the Frente en Defensa de Wirikuta is created in order to generate greater autonomy and promote the self-determination of their territories, protecting them and organizing themselves to dialogue and to dialogue with the relevant authorities and get something. And this is how, after a strong resistance and fight in defense of their territory, in 2012, an agreement was reached. First, Majestic will not carry out mining exploitation in the sacred territory of Wirikuta, San Luis Potosí, and it ceded its 22 concessions found in that area to the Wirikuta people through the federal government. It is a sample of the power that the resistance and social organization have in the face of this type of socio-environmental problems. Until now, Huicholes remain prey to intimidation and harassment. They have even been defamed in various media, assuring that they sell peyote to European authorities and they want to take over the ejidos of the altiplano. Obviously, a lot of these things aren't true. That means that the resistance continues. The role of community resistance and struggle in the face of this type of extractivist project is the starting point for building and proposing comprehensive solution to this type of socio-environmental problems that arise from the communities that arise from the communities themselves in dialogue with political actors, public and private, in the way to get the autonomy of the indigenous peoples. So what did we see at this time? Well, we review how transnational mega-extractivism works, specifically that of Canadian mining companies, how it is explained through the Harvey concept of accumulation by dispossession, carried out by first world countries in order to continue accumulating capital at any cost, even if this implies socio-environmental effects in countries with economic instability such as Mexico. Then we saw all these socio-environmental effects that it brings with it and the resistance that arise um, in front of this, and the importance of this social resistance and its role in the creation of new comprehensive and real solutions to the socio-environmental problems. So now we know the real impact of transnational mining in Wirikuta territory. I think that making these socio-environmental problems visible is the first step to combat them. Thank you very much for your attention. I am Daniela Ruiz.